I have got a very special edition of the latest news to keep you in the groove with Maya. Maya, what is going on, girl? How are you today?
Great.
Oh my gosh, I imagine you'd be like even better than great because we've
Yeah.
got another special guest who's on Zoom with us today.
Audrey Marie Anderson.
We're so glad to have you. Maya, take it away, girl.
Okay, so my first question for you is who or what inspired you to get into modeling?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. You went way back in time. It really happened by chance. It was never anything that I thought about doing myself or desired to do. But I would say probably the way it happened was that my sister was interested in doing it. And so she was pursuing it a bit. And then through that experience, the people she was involved with kept asking me to do it. They were like, well, why don't you do it? Why don't you try it? Why don't you give it a shot? And so as a result of that, I just thought, okay, what the heck? I'll give it a whirl. And then it was just sort of like a domino effect. Like one thing led to the next. And then I would do, when I was in high school, I was doing little modeling jobs in Dallas. I grew up in Texas. So I was living in Fort Worth at the time. And so I would get these jobs locally. And then it just kind of blossomed from there, where I just started traveling in the summer times and, work just started getting work. So it really just fell in my lap and I rolled with it because it was, it was kind of a cool opportunity. I was getting to do things a lot of people my age didn't get to do. I was traveling the world. I was seeing things. I was making some money and having a nice time doing that. But it wasn't really what I wanted to do. So I was always very aware of, okay, now what? So I moved to New York at a certain point because I did work a lot in Europe modeling. And I just at a certain point, I just said, I really want to act. That's what I really, really, really want to do. And so I started studying there and getting more and more serious. And then eventually moved out to LA. A friend talked me into moving out to LA. And then it just kind of, turned into that.
So you've been in and have guest starred in many different things, including The Walking Dead, and you guest starred in House and Castle. Have you had a favorite character or an especially memorable experience?
Well, I've worked with some really great people over the years. And I would say the first one that came to mind was really early on. It was really my first television job that I booked. It was on a TV series called Once and Again. And I played a teenager who was troubled. And that was a great first time experience for me. Like, being on a set, and all of the people I worked with were really great. And that role was really fun. That was a recurring role. I did about 8 or 9 episodes of that show at the time. But then also, more recently, I did a show that was on HBO called Olive Kittredge. And it was just such a great experience, such a highlight of my career. I got to work with Frances McDormand and Lisa Cholodenko. And it was really just, for me, a real highlight. It was a really great experience for me. I enjoyed it tremendously.
Oh, cool. So you played Lila Michaels in Arrow, and that is just one of my favorite shows. I'm completely obsessed with it. What was your favorite part about working on a superhero show and joining the Arrowverse?
Well, that is like a loaded question because I feel like we did it for so many years. So it started off as one thing and just morphed into another. I never expected that they would keep my character on Arrow the entire time. It was never really part of the initial proposal. So, back in the day, like I think it was the end of first season is whenever you first see Lila Michaels. And it was really just the producer calling me up saying, we had worked together on another project and he said, hey, you want to be in the show? And I said, sure. And so I flew up to do, I think 2 or 3 scenes, really small scenes with David Ramsey. And he called me up and he goes, oh my gosh, he goes, you guys are great together. He's like, you look great. He's like, we have to figure this out. And so they just kept writing and writing and writing and writing. And really I was, I kind of, it dawned on me slowly just how big this, it really developed into this, as you know, this like mega universe where all of these shows started shooting off. And I think I was in like one of the first crossover episodes when they brought Flash on Arrow, when they were introducing his character. We did a great episode. And, I think it then like by the end of the show, it really was, I got to be in a superhero outfit. Like I never thought from the very beginning that I would end up being, like a superhero character, and, and so it was really a lot of fun. And I think, like I said, like every time I would go up there in the beginning, I thought like, oh, well, this is probably the last time I'm going to be up here. But then it just kept going and going and going. And they did a really, really beautiful job of developing my character and my story. And I really liked my character. And she was strong and but also nuanced. And she had a great relationship with the Diggle character. It was really sweet and familial. And so I really enjoyed how well they colored my character over time.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, I have an Arrow necklace that
Nice.
I got a couple months ago, and I really haven't taken it off since I got it.
Nice.
And I think, well, one reason that I like loved Arrow and the Flash so much is I love how they have these like they're female characters, like they are people that like I look up to. I'm like, okay, they are like some of my inspirations, like Lila and Felicity, and so
I think that's really accurate for a lot of young women too. And my daughter is 10 years old, and it's so funny because when the whole time, all the years I was doing the show, my kids, I felt were too young to watch Arrow. And I was very sensitive to the fact that I didn't really want them to see me pointing a gun. And I thought maybe some of the violence would scare them. So while I was doing the show, they never got to see like what mama was doing at work. Right. But now my daughter's 10, she's my youngest, and she's watching The Flash. She really loves The Flash. It was her favorite show she binge watched the whole thing. And it was the first time that I really paid attention from this side of the screen, watching it as a viewer with my child, that I was very appreciative of how they wrote the women characters. It's like I was aware of it before, but I have a new appreciation for it watching it with my child. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So do you have any like pre-audition or pre-filming rituals that you do?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm probably one of the laziest people. I think over the years I've relaxed a lot. I used to be very, very, I would really kind of obsess over things and kind of stress myself out a little too much. And nowadays, especially with COVID, we're not going in and auditioning. We're putting ourselves on tape like this, and I have to find somebody to stand with me and read the lines with me. And so really all it boils down to is like me putting up a sheet like this and trying to make myself look pretty and, doing the best I can. I've sort of let go of trying to be, trying to stress myself out about the role and what to do and what choices I make. We're just all kind of doing the best we can right now,
Yeah. Yeah. I was telling my family that I was like, okay, two good things about quarantine and this whole thing is one, I can still do interviews and talk to you, and which just always which this is just making my day. So and then I also rewatched all of The Flash and all of Arrow. And so I was like, I'm just happy just being home, rewatching these shows. So
that's great. That's good. I know Zoom has saved everybody's life, I think, at this point. How do you normally do your interviews? Are you usually Zooming? I mean, before the pandemic, how were you doing your interviews?
I was going into the studio.
Got it. And then would people call in?
Yeah, people would kind of basically just the same thing, they'd call in through I never Skyping or something.
Got
and
it.
Then I never used Zoom before that
Right.
Everything closed down. I had never heard of it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, me neither.
Yeah. So what is your biggest pet peeve?
In life?
Yeah, anything.
Oh gosh, that's a good one. I'm so not quick on my feet with these kinds of things. My biggest pet peeve. I don't know if it's my biggest pet peeve, but if I were to sort of take it back to work, it really kind of is when people show up and they don't know their lines. That's like a big no in my book. And a lot of people do it. You'd be surprised, I always feel so, and if I'm ever that person where I don't really have it, I feel so bad because and another pet peeve too, for me is, tardiness, being late, I feel like, I try really hard, at work, especially at work, but just in life in general, to make sure I'm prompt and tardiness is a pet peeve of mine, because if you're sitting around waiting for somebody, it just doesn't feel very good.
Yeah. Yeah. So what song do you have on repeat on your playlist?
Oh my goodness. Can I tell you, I have zero control over my playlist anymore. I have a 13-year-old and I probably know every pop song on the radio that I don't want to know. He has dominated my everything. But if I were to go, back in time when I had a little bit more control, that's a good one. I mean, there's so many good songs. There's so many things I like to listen to. But let's see. What was one that I was really into more recently? Oh gosh, I don't know. That's a good one. What's on your repeat? You tell me.
So it always kind of changes, but right now there are two songs that I'm just listening to over and over again, and it's one song called Cheer Up Baby by a band called Inhaler. And then a song called Thank You by Diana Gordon.
Nice. I'll have to check those out. I wonder if I've heard them. Are they on the radio?
No.
No, I would have to go on Spotify or Apple or something and look it up.
Yeah, YouTube.
Got it. I'll have to look those up. I mean, I hear a lot of Billie Eilish in my house these days. So, but I'm a big fan of like Vampire Weekend and a band called Beirut. Yeah, so but I mean, I like all kinds of music, and I'll even have songs on that I don't even know the names of. This is the problem for me, like these days, the way that music is discovered and listened to is so different from when I grew up. I'm making myself sound old, but you would buy an entire album, right? It wasn't just like you knew a band and you had one song. It was like you bought the album, you listened to the whole album front and back a lot. And there was like art involved, the cover art, and there was like a whole experience with it. And nowadays, I'll be somewhere and I'll be like, oh, I like that song. And I'll Shazam it, or I'll do something. I'll try to find out what song it is. And I'll never even pay attention to really who the artist is, what they're all about, where they're from, and I'm also just busy. So I'm not really doing that with my spare time. So I feel embarrassed sometimes about music because I'm a little disconnected from it these days. But, we have it on in the house and we always go to the oldies. We listen to a lot of Beatles in our house and, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. You just mentioned Vampire Weekend, and my whole family, we love them. So, yeah. So we have their music on.
I just saw them, and I think they broke up maybe, and then they just got back together or something. Is that possible? Am I making that up? Do you know?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, me neither. I know that they played right before the pandemic. I got to see them play a little show locally here. And I think it was kind of a reunion, and it was great. It was so much fun. I really like their music.
Yeah. So if you could have anyone narrate your life, who would it be?
That's a good question. Probably, do you mean just like the sound of their voice? Like somebody speak? Yeah. I know exactly who it is. And why am I blanking on her name? Maggie. She's British. Hang on. Let me find her name. Why am I blanking on her name? Hang on. I'm going to find it. It's going to drive me crazy. She's incredibly famous. It would either be Frances McDormand, maybe her, or this woman. Hang on. You're going to know exactly who she is. Maggie Smith.
Oh.
You got to look her up. She's got the best voice. She has the most amazing voice.
Yeah.
In her accent. I don't know. It's something about it.
Yeah. So is there a line from a song, book, or movie that's had a big impact on you?
A line from a song, book, or movie? A song, book, or movie. I had a big impact? I don't think so. I can't really think of a specific line. Are you saying a line, book, or movie? Oh, you're saying not a line from a book or a movie. You're saying a line, book, or movie that had a big impact on me.
No,
a line from us. Oh, right. No, I don't know, but probably, it's like one of those things when you're not thinking of it, it's hard to think of. I don't want to disappoint you. I wish I could think of something like brilliant to say, but no, I can't really think of anything off the top of my head. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
If I think of something later, I'll email you and you can circle back.
Yeah. So my last question for you is, who do you consider to be a real life superhero and why?
Oh, that's a really good question. A real life superhero and why? I know we won't want to have like, there's so many people actually doing like so many good things, I think, I mean, but a real life superhero, oh my gosh, you know, that's a good one. I mean, there's just like a bunch of people popping into my head, and I feel a real life superhero. I mean, I really think it's more about like just people doing the good work in this world, and a good cause. It's really just, I could name a number of famous people who we all know who are doing wonderful things in our society and trying to make the world a better place. But I also think that it's like ordinary people who have like personal struggles that they have to live with, or they live with adversity, or they have to overcome setbacks, or illness, or abuse, or anything that makes their life more difficult and makes living more challenging. And I really think it's really everybody, like I said, like just everyday people who are finding ways to make their lives better and richer, and also because and maintain positive outlooks and attitudes, so that they then have like a positive influence on the people around them. I mean, that's a long-winded answer, but I really think that there are people who have a more like more of a voice because they're famous and they put good messages out there. There's athletes, there's first ladies, there's all kinds of people doing altruistic work that is very honorable. But it really is like the people the human beings who have to overcome so much and have the strength to live their lives and have courage to be who they are. That to me is worth mentioning and noting. Those are like the people that when you read people's stories, or you watch documentary about somebody who's overcome so much, those are the heroes in my mind.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for calling in. I had so much fun talking to you.
Good. I'm so glad. I'm glad we could make it happen.
Yeah, me too.
Good. Well, you guys have a beautiful day over there.
You too.
Thank you so much for spending so much.
Yeah, it's snowing here.
But oh yeah, I know. Yeah, that's kind of great though. I know you guys probably get sick of it, but I live in California. I get jealous.
Yeah, I never get sick of it. I love the snow. So
nice. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for spending so much time with us. And of course, we know Maya will keep us updated on where to find you next. So
okay, great.
We'll keep looking for you on the big screen and on the TV. And thanks for being with us today.
No problem. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.